They were basically discussing, of course, he congratulated Mr. President on the successful elections that took place in Nigeria. And then essentially they were talking about the security situation and political situation in Chad. And of course, the impact of the instability in Libya, and how the small arms and light weapons that are proliferating in the sub-region is really impacting adversely all the countries of the sub-region. And he briefed Mr. President on the efforts that they were making to stabilize the situation in Chad. He said that there are about 50 military groups, political groups, and that out of the 50, 40 of them have now joined the peace process, transition process, that there were still 10, and that he's still talking to them, and hopefully they will soon join the transition process. So he's quite happy with the developments and briefed Mr. President on that. And he also thanked, of course, Mr. President for all the support and the very important role that Nigeria has played in helping to achieve this level of stability in the country, and with various supports in different kinds of support. And and he also wished Mr. President well in his post presidency life, and looked forward to being able to count on him for advice and wise counsel.
Okay, what correlation does this bilateral meeting have with the main conference we came from?
Well, Chad is an LDC. Chad is a least developed country, and like all the least developed countries, there are real developmental challenges. And of course, Nigeria taking part in this conference is to show solidarity with least developed countries, and also to build the base of support amongst all those countries. And there's a significant number of them, about 77 or so. So they still also face, in addition to their political challenges, there are the other developmental challenges, the climate change, effect of climate change on them, and the challenge of the food crisis that's impacting also on Chad. And these are all the things that are being discussed at this LDC's conference. So, to that extent, Mr. President also committed to supporting as much as we can those challenges that are faced. But of course, Nigeria also, as a developing country, faces its own developmental challenges. But it's important, we feel, that we work together, being in the same sub-region. And also he talked about the multinational joint task force, and there's going to be joint operations this year with the Nigerian contingent, the Chadian contingent, and the Cameroonian contingent. So helping to reinforce the alliance in the fight against terrorism in our sub-region.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
گرفتی آقای They are your children, sir. We would love to have experience with civil organizers from Lagos. Nigeria, from Nigeria.
You know what transpired at the meeting?
Yeah, they talked about the similarities between the two countries, the things that the two countries have in common. Of course, the obvious one is energy, petroleum, and gas, and how to cooperate in that area, and also how to cooperate in other fields like agriculture, in particular, was mentioned, and they also talked about the challenge to multilateralism in the world, and the importance of strengthening multilateralism, and that Iran and Nigeria both have an important role to play as big countries with rich human resources, and and the wealth they have from natural resources, how they can also push for multilateralism to be the order of the day and avoid, a unipolar world, and they talked about setting up, strengthening a joint commission between the two countries to strengthen bilateral relations, and for the joint commission to be at the highest level possible. As way forward, as leaders in the two different regions, that it was important for these two countries to take the lead. And of course, Mr. President talked about the recent elections in Nigeria and the fact that a new president will be taking over in less than 3 months, and hoping that the strong relations they built between the two countries will continue, will endure, and of course the Iranians congratulated him on his stewardship and wished him well.
Are there specific issues raised by the Iranian Vice President? What did he say informed the visit?
Yes, they wanted greater cooperation. Iran is under international sanctions, and and really struggling, fighting with the West. Not literally, but economically and all that, because of the nuclear issues and all that. So I think for the Iranians, this was an opportunity to engage with a very big country, another big country, another big influential country, to maintain the channels of communication and the cooperation, so that Iran can also break out of the isolation that it finds itself in, at least with regards to Western countries.
So how did the president respond?
Yes, of course. The president talked about the fact that he had been earlier a minister of petroleum, and had engaged with Iran over many years, and understands the country and understands the people, and so welcomes the strengthening of relations between the two countries, as we have complementarities between the two countries.
Iran is struggling with the West over its nuclear program. Aren't you concerned that with stronger bilateral relations, Nigeria will be drawn into the middle of this conflict between the two countries?
Well, yeah, not so much. Well, they have these issues. There are international sanctions against Iran, but Nigeria is a non-aligned country. We have our independent foreign policy that is not we're not dictated to by any other country. And I think Iran understands that, and understands that as a big country that is not dependent on any other country and not easily influenced by other countries, that Nigeria is a country that they can aspire to have closer relations with, especially trading relations, economic relations, and and also in other areas, as the Iranian Vice Minister said, that they really want to expand these relations into all sectors.